plate with all the colors on it. I also have a plate with black and white. I already drew the shapes on here. So what I used for reference, if you want to take a picture of this, was a sphere and a cube with shading. And this is also on the internet. You can just look up shading, drawing simple shapes. And a cylinder and a cone with shading. The first painting that I'm going to do, so I just drew the shapes here. You can do one shape or many shapes. We're just looking at different color schemes. Is monochromatic. So I'm picking one color, and I think I'm going to pick green. You can pick any color you want. You don't have to pick the same colors as I do. And I'm getting my paint, and we're going to do green with tints, tones, and shades. I'm using a round brush, and I may get a smaller brush later. I'm going to put some green, and I'm going to mix on the canvas on the bottom. I'm getting a smaller brush. This is too big. Hold on. Let me just wipe it off with a paper towel. Okay. So I'm putting some green on the bottom, and the bottom is dark. This green is pretty light in value. So I'm going to add some black or gray to it. I'm going to add some black and make it a shade. And I'm going to get some water on my brush. Oops, that's too much water. Oh my. I'm going to get some green and blend it back in there. It's pretty dark at the bottom. I'm getting some more green. And I'm trying to make it a little bit more gray as I go up. I may need to let this area dry. It's getting too covered with paint. I'm getting a paper towel. I'm just rubbing a little because I got too much paint on there, and I don't want it to look like an imposter painting. All right, on the top, I'm getting some white, and I'm mixing it with the green. So I'm going to go up here and mix white with the green. And I made a lighter green, a tint of green. Whenever I add something to the color, white, black, or gray, it dulls it. So it's not as high intensity as just the green on its own. In the middle, I'm going to add some more white and make it a lighter green. And I'm trying to blend it into the area outside of it. Okay, so I'm getting just regular green now on my brush. And I'm going to go back over the middle part. And I'm going to get some gray. I'm mixing gray right now. So right here where it's really dark, I'm putting some gray in here because it's fine to be dark at the bottom, but I want it to be not as dark right here. I'm wiping my brush off with water now. And I'm going to add green to the black and gray, just pure green. I'm going to mix on the canvas. Okay, that looks actually okay. I'm just getting a paper towel. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to try to blend that line right there. You can use a Q-tip too. And then I'm going to get my brush and I'm getting just black. I'm going to go on the bottom and maybe a little bit around here and try to blend it in. I'm drying my brush now. I'm kind of getting a lot of the paint off, and then I'm blending it in with the paintbrush. And then if you feel like that's too much, oops, there's still black on my brush. I'm going to add a little more green to just go over this and blend it in. Now I have to go, oh, that was too much. Okay, so now I have to go to the cast shadow, which is primarily black. So I'm just getting black on my brush. And I'm leaving, there shouldn't really be a line right here. And I'm going to make it a little lighter as I go out. You can have green in here or green gray in cast shadow, but I'm just using gray. And this could be outlined a little bit more. Let me get some water. Make the line more visible. Okay, so there's some water. Okay, so analogous. I'm going to show you the color wheel for a second. So you can pick 3 colors that are next to each other. Any 3 colors that you like. And have some black, white, and gray available. I'm going to pick, I'm just looking at my colors, give me a second. Maybe a blue, violet, and a different blue. So for the objects that have flat surfaces, remember this surface is 1 value. So I'm just going to do them different colors. So purple is the darkest color of the 3 colors that I chose. You can choose any 3 colors you like. And I'm going to look at the picture. There's a little bit of shading on some of the surfaces. So I'm going to get a tiny bit of white on my brush. I'm mixing on the canvas now. because my plates have too much color on them. That was maybe too much. So I'm going to get a piece of paper towel and try to blend that in. Okay. Now, this is lighter and this is lighter. So I'm going to use a blue, but I'm going to add some white to it because the blue I have is pretty dark. It's too light. I just wanted to lighten it up a little bit. Let's see what this looks like. That's maybe too light. That looks good. These are all harmonious color schemes, and you can plan out your paintings in these schemes if you want. A lot of people do. And I'm going to look at the shading. I'm wiping my brush off first. On this side, it's lighter. So I'm going to add some white. To both edges. I'm mixing with my finger right now because I'm trying to make that white area a little bit smaller. And then on the top, it's darker. So I'm going to get just the plain blue. This is ultramarine blue. My favorite blue. Okay, and on the top, I'm going to do primary blue, which is more of a turquoise. I'm adding some white to it. And I'm adding more white than I did to the previous blue because it's lighter. But it's a totally different blue, and you can really see it when you add the white to it. Okay, so it's more of a green blue or a turquoise. Okay, so I'm going to add some light and some dark. I'm adding light to the bottom, which is just white, to the bottom edge. That was too much white right there. So it's a tint. I went over the purple there. And I'm going to just add the regular blue for the dark, and it's primary blue again. Remember, you can choose any 3 colors to be your analogous colors that are next to each other. So mine would be like a blue violet, a blue, and a green blue. I'm going to get my color with white and try to blend it into that. This is my first color that I put on. Okay, for the cast shadow, I'm going to do black. I'm getting some water on my brush. And maybe some gray. You can have color in the cast shadow too if you want. Okay, I'm going to leave that there. You could work more on it, but we have a time limitation. So for the complement, I'm going to pick yellow and violet. Complement is a colored diac with two colors, and all these groups are harmonious. The complement is going to look a little bit different because these two are made out of similar colors. This is one color and this is three colors. Tints, tones, and shades, tints, tones, and shades. These are next to each other on the color wheel, meaning they're in the same family. But the complements are totally opposite. All right, so I'm going to do light and dark. So yellow is lighter than violet. So I'm going to do yellow for the top. There's still some black in my brush. And white on the top too, where it's lighter. So I'm mixing on the canvas. It's lighter on this side. So I'm making a tint of yellow. A little bit more white here. Okay. So now I'm going to look at the bottom and I'm going to clean off my brush and I'm going to do the bottom in violet. So it'll be like the different colors on different parts. This part is much darker. I'm going to wash the whole thing with violet and then mix over it. Okay, so now some parts of it are lighter, so I'm going to get some white. I'm putting white right here, mixing it into the purple. You can pick any complement combination that you want, including one with tertiary colors. Okay, so now I'm going to add some black. This is pretty dark on the bottom. So some black right here. And some black on this edge. I'm going to get a little bit more purple and try to blend it back in there. And then I'm going to try to add a little bit more white to certain areas. Like right, ooh, that's a lot of white. Right here, there's a little bit more. And on the bottom, there's like a little bit more. It's a little bit lighter. Trying to get this to look right, and that probably messed it up. So I'm going to get some more purple. And I'm going to get black over here. For the cast shadow. You can put color in the cast shadow again if you want. I just prefer to have it black because it's really dark. I'm totally messing up the shadow. Well, I don't want to mess it up anymore, but I made it too. Ay. It should be closer. I'm trying to fix it. Okay, I'm leaving it like that so it doesn't mess it up. Okay, so I have my paint here, and I'm just getting my black and white paint. So split complement. So I'm going to show you the color wheel. So I did the isosceles triangle, yellow, red, and red, violet. Sorry, you can't see this. So you go to the complement and you do the two outside the complement. I'm going to pick something different because I just did yellow and violet. I think I'm going to do blue, green, orange, and red. You don't have to start with a primary. Here I started with a tertiary, but the complement of blue, green is red, orange. So the split complement would be orange and red. So I'm getting my brush. Hold on. And I'm just wiping it off. So the darkest color, I'm going to use the primary blue for the blue-green because it is kind of blue-green. I'm adding a little tiny bit of green to it because it's primarily blue. Okay, so the darkest color is blue-green. So I'm going to put that in the darkest area. That looks good for a blue-green. I added a little bit of green to primary blue. I'm going to wash my brush now. No, actually, there's more blue-green. Sorry. It comes all the way over here. Okay, and on the other side where the colors are a little bit lighter, if it seems watery, you can go over it again when it dries. I'm going to do red, but I'm going to do it with white because it's lighter. So I'm going to make a tint of red and a tint of orange. So this area is a little bit lighter. And I'm going to try to blend it into the green or the blue-green. It may look a little weird. I'm going to let that dry for a second because it's getting all muddy. Okay, I'm going to do a tint of orange. I should have gone to the orange first because then I wouldn't have been blending. Oops, there's green in there now. Okay, so I'm taking a little break from this and I'm going to the cast shadow, which I'm going to do a little bit of black. Why does this black look see-through? Let me go back to my other black. Just dry. I'm going to go on this edge with black. Well, actually, I'm going to go and do another layer of blue-green. Because this is watery. That's probably already dry by now. That looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to go on the edge with just black on my brush. And I got some Q-tips when I took a break. Okay, so I'm putting a Q-tip here. The paper towel is too big to blend small areas. So I'm putting some black right here. And some black on the edge. And I'm getting bringing it a little farther out. So I'm getting a Q-tip because I don't want to mess on this small area with my fingers or a paper towel. And I'm trying to blend it into the green. The only problem with it is it's kind of lifting it off. So I have to be careful with that. It's so complicated. So now I'm going to get some black right here. Okay. And I'm going to go back to my pink. Which is a tint of red. Got too much on there. And then I'm going to go back to my orange, my tint of orange. You can't not really see the orange, but it's there. I'm going to get my Q-tip. Make sure nothing's on the tip. And I'm kind of trying to blend this pink into the green. Let me get a little bit more orange to try to make it visible. And I'm going to stop there before I mess it up. Okay. Okay, so the color, I'm doing an equilateral, so this is a color triad, and this is a color triad. This is based on an isosceles triangle, and this is based on an equilateral triangle. Your color triad is primary or secondary, but you can turn it any way you want. So you could do like yellow, orange, red, violet, and blue, green. I'm just going to stick with primary for right now. So red, yellow, and blue. Okay. So I'm looking back at the sphere, and I'm going to go on the top with yellow. Yellow is the lightest color. I'm going to add white to it later, or maybe now. We'll see how much paint I get on here. I'm trying not to put too much. Okay. And I'm going to put some white in the lighter areas. This is white that I had sitting out from yesterday, so it's a little bit thicker. I'm going to leave it at that for now. I may add more later. Okay, so now I'm going to do a red in the darker area and then a blue in the darkest area. So red, this area is darker. I'm going to use red. Whoops. And then I'm going to put ultramarine on the bottom. It's not going to look stripy like this, but I'm just starting it. Just getting the colors in the right place. Okay, so now I'm going to clean my brush. And first, I'm going to try to mix this red. Oh, there's blue on my brush. Hold on. Into the yellow. So it doesn't look like a stripe. So it looks like it's like the colors of a rainbow blending together. And then I'm going to go to this. Ooh, I hope that's not already dry. And I have yellow on my brush. Okay. So I'm trying to mix the blue into the red. And that's making a duller color. And then on the bottom, I'm going to get some black. Now I covered up all the blue. So I'm going to get some blue. That's a very dark blue, but it doesn't look bad to me. Okay, and I'm going to get some black for the cast shadow. Oops, too much water. Too much water. I'm going to leave it like that. I may do another layer when it dries. And then I'm going to get all the color off my brush and add a little bit of white to where the highlight is. And try to blend it in to the yellow around it. So let me get a Q-tip. You may have to get a few Q-tips because you'll dirty them. And I'm going to leave this alone. I think it looks all right. I could do more work, but You get the idea. So for the double complement, or the color tetrad, which is 4 colors, you can rotate this rectangle any way you want, so it can also be tertiary with tints, tones, and shades. I think I'm going to do yellow and violet and blue and orange, so the rectangle would go this way. So I'm cleaning my brush. So on the top, I'm going to do yellow. Too much water. The water turns the acrylic into like a watercolor. I'm going to leave that alone for a second because it's really wet. Okay, so on the bottom, I'm going to have this be yellow and orange on the top, and the bottom will be blue and violet. So I'm going to go violet over here. In the darker area. And I'm going to go ultramarine over here. I'm trying to blend them together so that'll make like a blue violet right here. And we add a little bit more blue. And it looks lopsided, so I'm adding a little more violet over here. Okay, so now I'm looking at this area and some of it is light. So I'm going to get some white. And add it to this part. And blend it into the blue. I'm going to add some more blue over that. To try to blend it better. Huh. I may have to wait a minute for this to dry. Let me see. Okay. I'm going to get a Q-tip for a second. This paint is pretty thick, which is okay if you want it to be. Oops, no. There's yellow on that. So make sure your Q-tips are clean. Okay, so now I'm going to get some black. I'm going to go on this edge and on the bottom and up here. And I'm going to, since I have black on my brush, I'm going to get into the cast shadow. And then I'm going to go back to this cast shadow. And I'm just going to, it looks too watery and it's dry. So I'm going to go over some of the black and leave some of the black that looks gray showing. Okay, so now I'm going to go to see if it's dry. I'm going to add one more layer of yellow to it. And not very thick, very thin. Okay, so in the darker areas, I'm going to add orange. So there, hold on, there was too much orange on my brush. So it's slightly darker over here. And then in the other area, I'm going to add white. In the lighter area, I'm going to add a white of yellow. I may go back in with just some plain yellow to kind of blend in the middle. And I'm going to, no, I need to do one more thing. I'm sorry, but this is similar to this, except it has two more colors. It's a double complement instead of a complement. It has the same complement. I need to do the black on the cast shadow. That looks too watery. So those were Harmonious color schemes. You can use them in any way you want on your paintings, and they create a happy mood or harmonious mood. I'm going to stop here.